Good morning. How old are you? 32. Are you employed? Yes. What type of work do you do? Caregiving and transporting. Is that two different jobs? Yes. Do you have full-time employment in one area? Full-time caregiving. And part-time in transportation? Yes. I'm going to ask you a few questions just about your own background, okay? Okay. How far did you go in school? Bachelor's. Okay, did you go to some local community colleges? Yes. So you have some community college education? Yes. You said you have a bachelor's. Did you get a bachelor's degree through an online program? Online program. Okay, are you currently enrolled in school? Yes. What are you working toward? Master in Healthcare Administration. Have you ever been arrested or charged with any crimes? No. Have you ever been either a member of or an associate of a criminal street gang? No. Do you have any immediate family members who are in any local gangs in Los Angeles? No. Do you have any close friends other than the target in this case, Eric Holder? Wait, hold on. Who is a member of a gang? Yes, my uncle. I think he's in a blood gang. Now, where? I'm just not sure. Where did your uncle live? He lived in Seattle, but he comes back and forth out here. He's from Compton. Okay, so your uncle lived in Compton for a while? Yes. Now he lives in Seattle, Washington? Yes. And you believe that he is a member of a blood gang? He might. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, do you see him often? No. Have you ever lived with him? No. Have you ever attended or participated in any gang activities? No. Do you currently live in the city of Los Angeles? No. Have you ever lived in the city of Los Angeles? Yes. Approximately what years did you live here? Since 2004, and I would say 2004 to 2007. Okay, from 2004 to 2007? Yes. When you lived in the Los Angeles area during that time period, did you live in the general area of Crenshaw and MLK Boulevard? Yes. You know that you're here to testify about something that happened at Crenshaw and Slauson, correct? Correct. Do you know how far Crenshaw and MLK Boulevard is from Crenshaw and Slauson? Not exactly, but I know it's not too far. Okay, is it walking distance? No. Do you have a sense of how far a mile is or 2 miles? Do you know distance in those terms? No, I don't. Okay, when you lived in Los Angeles from 04 to 07, did you ever hang out in the area of Crenshaw and Slauson? Just like going to the swap meet, stuff like that. I never hung out like with friends. I didn't really have no friends over there. Okay, what is the swap meet? By Slauson and Western. So on Western and Slauson, there's a swap meet? Yes. For those of us who are not sure what a swap meet is, can you explain that a little bit? It's like a place they have jewelry. You can get stuff for a little cheaper, and they be having Jordans and stuff that you can get cheaper instead of going to the mall. It's like a little mini mall where you can get things a little more cheaper. Okay, is it the Slauson swap meet? Yes. Okay, it's pretty famous in South Los Angeles, correct? Actually, right, correct. A lot of parts in Los Angeles? Yes. A lot of people go there and hang out, right? Right. So you back in 04 to 07 would go to that area for that purpose, is that true? That's true. Did you have any friends in that area? No. Did you know of any street gangs that operated in the area of the Slauson swap meet? No. When you left Los Angeles in 07, did you move out of the city of Los Angeles? Yes, I did. Okay, and at some point after that, did you even move out of the state of California? No. Okay, well, you speak with a distinct accent, okay? Are you from or have you ever lived outside of the state of California? Yes. Okay, I don't want to know where, but was it somewhere in the South? Right, yes. Okay, can you tell us during what time period you lived in the South? Since I was 2 to 2004, that's when I moved out here. Okay, how old were you in 04? 17. So at 17 in '04, you moved into the area of Crenshaw and MLK? I moved in Compton. I moved to Crenshaw around like 2005 maybe or 6. I'm not kind of accurate on it, but I know I left in 2007. I wasn't in Compton that long with my granny, so maybe I want to say 2005 until 2007. Okay, when you lived in Los Angeles, did you live alone or with someone? I lived with my mom. Did you ever move back to where you were from the South after you moved to Los Angeles? No. Okay, let me move on and ask you in the year before March 31st, 2019, if you went back a year before that, how often would you say you visited Los Angeles from where you were living? Where was I living at now? Where I'm living at now? Okay, I don't want to know where you live at. I don't want your address. I don't want your city, okay? All right. What I'm asking you is, in the year before March 31st, if you counted back a year from that date, yes, how often would you visit Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles? I hadn't been there in a while since that date, maybe once or twice maybe. Okay, I'm going to make sure you don't. I want to make sure you understand my question. I'm not asking you how many times you've come to Los Angeles since March 31st. I want to know in the year before the shooting happened, the year before, for that whole year, how often did you visit Los Angeles? I just want to get a sense of how much time you spent here in the year leading up to that shooting. And I'm not asking for a specific number of times. You can estimate approximately how often you would come into the city. About maybe 20, because I had a friend over there, somebody who I was talking to. Okay, when you say you had a friend over there, what do you mean? In LA. Okay, was that friend living in the Slauson Crenshaw area? Yes, he lived up the street on Florence. Florence and what? 78th. So for the year leading up to March 31st, you believe you came into Los Angeles about 20 times? I'm just around that time, yeah, because that was like my boyfriend. Okay, and would you say you visited every other week, or was it all within a couple of month time period, or was it spread out over the course of the year? Yeah, it was kind of like spread out. It wasn't like every day or every other day. Maybe like once or twice a month, maybe, and sometimes skip a couple months, sometimes. The person that you dated that you referred to as your boyfriend, was that person involved in any gang activity? No. Let me show you people's grand jury exhibit number 3. Do you recognize the person shown in this exhibit? Yes. How do you know him? I met him doing transporting. And what is his name? Eric. Did you know him by any other names? When I picked him up, it had Bobby on there. Did you ever call him Bobby? No, did he, wait for the question, no. Did he ever tell you his name was Bobby? No. You said that one of your jobs is in transportation, correct? Correct. And when you first met Eric, you met him and was provided information that the person that you were transporting was named Bobby? Correct. Okay, but you later found out that his name was Eric? Yes. Did you know him by any other nicknames? No. Had you ever heard him called or heard him refer to himself as Shitty? No. What about his last name? Do you know his last name? Not at the time. When did you first learn his last name? When he wanted me to take him to his cousin Harold's house. How long had you known him before you learned his last name? A week. When did you first meet this person that you knew was Eric? February the 25th. February the 25th? Yes. Of what year? 2019. Do you recognize what's shown in this photograph? Yes. Okay. Does this photograph show where your car was when you pulled into the parking lot of the Fat Burger when you testified you initially stopped while Eric Holder started eating some food? Yes. Can you point that out for us using that pointer in front of you? Okay. You're pointing to a parking lot on the right side of the alley. Appears to be the parking lot for the business marked Fat Burger. And you're pointing to an area just sort of north of the middle of the parking lot and just about the middle of the parking lot east and west. Okay, were you in a parking stall there? I kind of just remember this part right here. I know I wasn't too close right here, but I know I was like somewhere right up in here. When you say, I know I wasn't too close right here, you mean you weren't too close to the window where food is passed out of the fat burger, correct? Correct. So you were somewhere south of that location. Approximately how many car lengths away from the building were you? What do you mean when you ask me that? How about feet? Can you point to something in this room, or can you tell us about how many feet away you were from the building? 1 feet. Okay. 1 foot's about this. This is 1 foot. Okay. And I'm showing you with a ruler. You have a hard time with distances? Yes. Okay, so let me tell you what a car length is and see if that helps. Do you see the cars in those parking stalls down at the bottom of the parking lot? Do you see how they're parked? Yes. Yes. So if that car was in the same position, but it was up against the building of the Fat Burger, let me show you with the pointer. So a car length is the length of one car from the hood to the trunk. That's a car length. Do you understand that? I understand that. So when I ask you how far you were away from the building, I'm asking you if cars were leaned up from trunk to hood, how many cars away from the building were you? Do you understand the question? Like how many cars was like in that area where I was at parked? No, I'm asking you distance. If from where you were stopped, I'm trying to find out how close you were to the building of the Fat Burger. So from where you were stopped, if cars were lined up between where you were and the building, how many cars would it take to get there? Do you understand the question? No. All right, forget the question. Your testimony is that you were approximately stopped in the middle of this parking lot, east to west, and a little bit north of the midline, so in front of this gray line or drainage line that runs through the parking lot. You were somewhere on this side of that, correct? Correct. Meaning closer to the Fat Burger, is that right? Right. You testified that he started eating food there, is that right? That's right. And then you moved your car through the parking lot into this alley towards 58th Place, correct? Correct. When did he get out of your car? He got out of my car when I stopped. He was talking to me at the time, telling me that he wanted to go get something. Let me stop you. Just listen to the question. All right. Okay? Where was your car when he got out of it? It was like right there before the driveway. Like I was about to get ready to leave, but I was right there like, is it right where I have the cursor? Up a little bit. Right there? Yes. Okay. So you were in front of the driveway that leads to 58th Place, a few feet in front of that, correct? Correct. Is that where he got out of your car? Yes. Is that where you testified he said, wait here, I'll be right back? Right. And did you see him walk off northbound? That would be toward the top of this photo with his food container in his hand. Yes. Did you see any guns at that point? No. Did you see what he did with the gun that you had seen him manipulating earlier? When he got out the car? Yes. No, I didn't see it. Did you see any guns left in your car when he got out where he was sitting? No. When he said, I'll be right back, did he give you any other explanation for why he was walking away from the car or why he wanted you to wait there? No. Did you know what he was going to do? No. Did you ask him what he was going to do? No. Why not? 'Cause he always just leave. He told me he'll be right back, so I just didn't ask him where he was going. I just assumed that maybe he wanted to get something from the plaza or something like that. Was that the first time he ever told you wait somewhere without any explanation? No. Had he done that before? Yes. So on this occasion, is it your testimony that that didn't seem odd or strange to you? Yes, it didn't seem odd at all. Now, after he walked off, some minutes passed and then you heard gunshots and he came running back, correct? Correct. And the first person you saw after the gunshots was some man you didn't know running, correct? Correct. And then after that, he, Eric, came running back to your car, correct? Correct. Now before okay. You testified that when he got out of your car and walked away from your car, you testified that you didn't know why he was going back to the plaza. Is that correct? That's correct. Did you know he was going back to the plaza? No, I just watched him. When he got out the car, I seen him walking that way. Okay, and so then when you testified that he was coming back to the plaza, that was what, an assumption or just based on everything you know after the fact? Just based that we was there, so I was just assuming he was going back there? Okay, so even at the time you assumed he was going back there? Yes. So you testified, and I want to get back to where we were yesterday, that he came back, he jumped in the car, and he told you to drive, correct? Correct. Was he angry at all when he got back in the car? Did he seem angry to you? Yes, he seemed like he had an attitude. Was that the first time that day that he seemed angry or seemed like he had an attitude to you? On my way going, he didn't want me to touch him on his stomach. He didn't want me to touch him on our way going there. What do you mean by that? I was just like, oh, you hungry? Touch his stomach. And then he was just like, don't touch me. You better touch one of them Disneyland dudes or whatever. He made a comment on our way going. Okay, and let me just clarify that. Before you picked him up that day, you testified that you were working. Part of your work had to do with transporting someone to Disneyland, correct? Correct. All right, and so when he made that comment to you about touching one of those Disneyland dudes, did it appear to you that he was expressing maybe some jealousy about you going to Disneyland? Yeah, maybe because I went to work and then I didn't chill with him the day before I went to work. Okay, so you tried to touch his stomach at some point playfully and he wouldn't let you touch his stomach? Correct. All right, I don't really want to go off in that direction. I want to get back to what was happening at this plaza. All right, so he gets back in the car, he tells you to drive, you heard the gunshots, you start to drive right away, correct? Correct. What were you thinking at that point? I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? What happened? What's going on? Were you saying that to yourself or were you saying that out loud to him? I said it out loud to him when he got in the car, but then I started talking to myself like I want to know what's going on, So when you asked him what's going on, what happened, what was his response? He was just like, shut up, you talk too much before I slap you, just like that. So after he said that to me, I just thought to myself, I want to know, what's going on. Okay, so obviously you felt, or did you not feel that was very strange behavior on his part? Yes, I felt it was strange, and then I was scared too, because I didn't know what was going on. Were you afraid of him at that point? Yes. Why were you scared of him? Because he wasn't talking to me. He wasn't answering my question. Okay, did he also have a gun? Yes. And did he also threaten to hit you for the first time since you've known him? Yes. So was it all for those reasons and the fact that you heard gunshots that you were afraid? Yes. I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, then tell us you don't agree. All right. Were you afraid of him? Yes. Why were you afraid of him? Because he had the gun and everything, and I didn't want him to hit me with it. Hit me with the gun when he said he was going to slap me. Okay. When you talked to investigators about this for the first time, did they talk to you about what happened when he first got back into the car? Yes. Okay. Did you tell them that after he threatened to hit you, that had an effect on you because of something that happened in the past? Correct. Just tell us briefly what went through your mind when he threatened to hit you. I just felt afraid and scared just because I was in a situation before and I had to go to a trauma room because my face got messed up by being with another guy like that. Okay, so what you told investigators is you got into an argument with someone in the past, another man while driving, correct? Correct. And the argument led to a really bad accident, is that correct? Correct. And did that cross your mind during this time when he told you to drive or I'll slap you? Yes. So when you said you went to a trauma room, you went to a hospital? Correct. Okay. And you had facial injuries? Yes. And arm and foot. Okay. You knew something bad happened in that parking lot at that point, didn't you? Yes. What did you think happened in the plaza parking lot? I just felt like I know there was a shooting going on. I didn't know if he was a shooter. I didn't know if he was getting shot at. I just knew something had happened. You were in control of the car that you were in as you were driving away from the location, correct? Correct. You could have pulled the car over, parked, and said to him, I'm not moving until you tell me what happened. You could have done that, correct? I was afraid to do that, to stop the car. Why? Because he had a gun. He already talked to me about slapping me, and like I just said before about the accident, I've been through that before, so I didn't want to keep questioning him about it. Did you see any injuries on his body when he returned to the car? No, I didn't notice any. Okay. Where did you go immediately after leaving the alley at 58th Place? He told me to take him to his cousin's house, Harold. As you left that location? Yes. Did you drive from that location directly to a freeway? Yes. Which freeway did you drive to? The one that the 405 by La Cienega? Let me show you Grand Jury Exhibit number 23. It's an aerial photo. It is labeled a path from 3420 Slauson to the 405 freeway. Do you recognize the exhibit? Yes. Okay. Now you testified that when you left 58th Place, you went directly to the 405 freeway, correct? Correct. Now, this has a path highlighted along Slauson. Slauson runs east to west to the 405 freeway. Is that the route you took, or did you take some other route? Can you repeat the question? From 58th Place, did the two of you immediately go to Slauson and then take Slauson all the way to the freeway, or were you turning up and down various streets to get there? No. When I left 58th Street, I kept straight I wouldn't be able to go no more. It was just like straight. And then it was construction. A construction ended. It was like on, I think that was La Brea. So on 58, it was like, it's straight out. I turned to the left. I don't know what street. I think it was La Brea because it was close by La Cienega and there's a Ralph's. Okay, let me stop you there. You didn't take the route that's highlighted on this exhibit, correct? Correct. Nevertheless, you went from the location at 3420 to the 405 freeway that's shown on this exhibit, correct? Correct. And then you got on the 405 freeway and drove south, is that correct? Correct. Did you drive directly to another place, to one place where you let him out of the car? When I dropped him off, when I got on the freeway and on our way taking him, when I was on my way taking him, it was on the freeway. That's the only time I dropped him off. Okay, I asked a poor question. Was your next stop, after leaving the alley at 58th Place, was your next stop someplace where you dropped him off? Yes. Okay, and where did you drop him off at, meaning whose house, if you know? Harold. Was that his cousin you testified about earlier? Yes. Did you drive directly to Harold's house from the alley at 58th Place? Yes. Tell us about any of the conversation that happened in the car between the two of you from the time you left to the time you got to Harold's house. Only conversation was I asking him where did he want to go, did he want me to take him to his house, and where he wanted me to drop him off at, and that was it. He told me to cut on some music. Cut on music on the way there? Yes. Did you turn on the radio? Yes. When the radio was turned on, did you hear any reports about a shooting at 3420 Slauson? No. Did you hear any news reports about a shooting at 3420 Slauson? No. Did he at some point tell you to turn off the radio? No. Did you have any conversation about what just happened? No. Did he give you any instructions or directions telling you, either, and these are just examples, telling you things like don't tell anybody about what happened? Did he tell you don't call anybody, don't post anything on the internet? Did he tell you anything at all? No. It's your testimony that he didn't even talk about it. Is that correct? Correct. What about guns? After he got back in the car, you testified that you saw which gun? I saw the 9mm. The black gun? Correct. We'll call that the black gun. Yes. And did you see any other gun? Yes, the revolver. Okay, you saw that once he got back in the car, he had both guns. Yes. What, if anything, did you see him do with those guns as you were driving to where you dropped him off? I saw him put the 9mm in the bag where he got the food from. I didn't see where he put the revolver at. And when you got to Harold's house, did you stop and let him out of the car, or did you park and get out with him? I stopped and I let him get out of the car. So is it your testimony that he got out of the car, walked away from your car, and then you left? Right. When he got out of the car, did he take the food bag that you saw him putting the gun in with him? Yes. Did you have any conversation with him when he got out of the car at Harold's house? No, he was just like, you funny style. He just said that to me. What does that mean? I don't even know. I was just like, whatever. I just repeated it back to him. I was like, you funny style. And so when you got to Harold's house now, and he got out of the car and walked away from the car, were you reflecting? Were you thinking back on what just happened? Yeah. Like when he said, like, I was just feeling like he was trying to be funny because he said he was going to slap me by saying it to me. Okay, regardless of that comment, because you don't know what that means, correct? Correct. Just in terms of everything you just experienced from the time you got to the plaza until the time he walked away from the car, were you thinking about what just happened? Yeah, I was just still like, what's going on, I wanted to know what happened, with the shooting. What's going on? Where did you go after you dropped him off? I went to my mom's house. Did you talk to your mother when you got home about what occurred? Yes. And you told her what you testified to here, essentially? Yes. Approximately what time did you get home, if you recall? Around 4 something. How long did it take you to drive from 58th Place to Harold's house, approximately? 30 minutes. This all happened on a Sunday afternoon, correct? Correct. After getting to your mother's house, at some point that afternoon, did you learn that Nipsey Hussle had been shot? Yes. How did you get that information? When I got home, I put my clothes in the washing machine and I sat on my bed and I went through looking at my social media. And then that's when I seen like everybody was like posting on my picture and stuff saying like, oh, we think that Nipsey Hussle been shot. We trying to make sure if he's still alive or if he's not. And then they pronounced that he was dead. What did you do after seeing information on social media about Nipsey Hussle being shot? My heart dropped. I hurried up and ran in my mom's room and told her like, Mom, I was just there and I took a picture with him, showing her everything on my phone and stuff. And she was just like, calm down, I know how you feel. You just saw him, just go relax. Okay, did it cross your mind that Nipsey Hussle got shot while you were sitting in the alley at 58th Place? Like, no, I wasn't sure, but I know like he was a star. So I didn't know like if it did have something to do with him. Maybe it did kind of cross my mind. Did it cross your mind that Eric Holder might have been the person who shot Nipsey Hussle? Did that cross your mind? Yeah, but I wasn't like too sure just because I knew he had the guns. Okay. Remember when you answer questions to say yes, not just yeah, okay? Okay. Thank you. All right. So when you got that information that Nipsey Hussle had been shot under, based on everything you know up to that point, did you get on the phone and call Eric Holder and tell him, hey, I just heard Nipsey Hussle got shot? Can you believe that? Did you reach out to him to see if he had heard the same news? No. Why not? I just went to my mom to talk to her. I didn't want to talk to him no more after he got an attitude with me. So your testimony is that you didn't call him or text him that night? Correct. Did you have any conversation with him that night? He called me. At what time did he call you? Around 8 o'clock. And when he called you, what was that conversation? Could I come pick him up? Did he tell you why he wanted you to come pick him up? No. Did you go pick him up? Yes. Where did you pick him up from? Picked him up from Harold's house. When you picked him up, how was he dressed? He had on, I think he changed. Well, he had on a jacket. I want to say he changed his shirt. I think he's changed his shirt. I don't want you guessing. Okay. Do you remember how he was dressed, or you don't? I don't. Okay. You said he had on a jacket. Yes. What color was it? It was like the army kind, but it was the black and white hoodie kind of jacket. Okay, so a black and white hoodie jacket in the camouflage print? Yes. And when you picked him up at Harold's, did you see any guns with him at that time? No. Did you see any bags or anything that a gun could have been inside of? No. Okay, obviously you didn't pat him down and check his pockets, correct? Correct. He got in your car. Where did the two of you go? To my mom's house. Why did you take him to your mom's house? He wanted to spend the night, and then at the time I was in the process of moving into my place, so I didn't have any furniture. Why did you let him spend the night at your mother's house? It was just like a particular thing. Like, he spent the night before, and then I was thinking maybe he could talk to me, or maybe something, about what's going on. But he never did talk to me. Did you ask him questions about what happened? Did you tell him what you had seen on social media about Nipsey Hussle being shot? No. Why not? I didn't want to bring it up no more to him. Why not? Just because, I didn't want him to try to threaten me again or say anything to me about it. Well, you had the option of telling him no when he asked you to pick him up, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Is that a yes? Yes. But you chose to go over and pick him up and bring him back to your mother's house to spend the night with you, correct? Correct. So if you're of the state of mind to do that, why didn't you feel free to ask him questions about what happened? I wanted him to kind of come to me and talk to me about it. By me doing that, I was trying to be nice. Let him come. Maybe he'll come talk to me about it, but he didn't. But I didn't want to ask him no more questions about it. Did he tell you why he wanted to stay with you that night as opposed to going to his own place? No. Did he tell you that he wanted to go to your house because his house was dirty? Yeah, he was telling me, he told me, he didn't want to go to his house. That was the next day. That Monday, he didn't want to go to his house because his house was dirty. That was a Monday, he told me that. Okay, so your testimony is on that night, he just asked if he could stay with you. You picked him up and brought him to your mother's house for the night? Is that your testimony? Right. And your testimony is that you had no conversation with him about what happened at the Marathon store parking lot, the gunshots, or anything related to that for the rest of that night? Correct. So after you told him he couldn't stay at your house, he couldn't stay at your mother's house while you weren't there, and you needed to go to work, what happened next? We started looking for a room, so he wanted to get a room. He asked me, could I get him a room because his ID was expired. He wanted to get a room where? At Motel 6. Did you ask him, why do you want to go get a motel? No, I didn't. Why wouldn't you ask that? No, I take that back. I did. That's when he was telling me that his place was dirty and stuff. At the time he wanted to come to my place. He wanted to come to my place, but I told him no, and that's when he wanted to get a room. Okay, so he told you he wanted to get a room at a motel because his place was dirty? Yes. Okay, did you find that to be a very odd reason for him to want to get a motel room? Yes, I did. Did it cross your mind that the reason he wanted to stay with you on Sunday night and the reason he wanted you to help him get a motel room on Monday was because he was trying to hide out? No. Because of something that happened at the marathon parking lot? No. It never crossed your mind? No. At that point, were you suspicious that he was involved in some criminal activity at that parking lot? Yeah, a little. Explain that. Because I knew he had the guns and stuff like that, and he wasn't talking to me. He wasn't like giving me no response or nothing like that. So I did feel a little suspicious about it. What, if anything, did you do to help him get a room at Motel 6? What do you mean? Did you pay for the room? No, I didn't pay for the room. I told him I wasn't paying for no room. Did you do anything else to assist him in getting a room there? Just showed my ID. Okay, well, that's assistance, right? Right. Because did the motel require ID before they rented a room? Yes. And you allowed the motel to use your ID for that room, correct? Correct. And it's your testimony that when you did that, you did it because he told you he didn't want to go home? Right. Did you do it knowing that he was a fugitive based on the shooting that happened at the Marathon store? No. Had you heard anything on the news at that point that the police were looking for him or looking for you? No. Did you see anything on social media at that point that connected him to that shooting? No. So you helped him get a room at Motel 6. After that, did you go to work? Yes. At some point during the day while you were at work, did you start getting more information about the shooting at the parking lot? Yes. Tell us about that. I started going on my Facebook page and started seeing people talk about him, calling him shitty cuz, and he probably the one that did it. And they was talking about, oh, it would always be the one from the hood that be want to do stuff to other people and things like that. So when I'm seeing the posts, I'm like, oh my God, these are the posts from Instagram screenshotted on Facebook. And I'm just like, this boy, he, they got his name, I'm thinking now like, oh, he did it, and stuff like, because people are saying it. So through that information now, did you learn that people were referring to him by a nickname Shitty? Yes. Had he ever told you that that was his nickname? No. Did you know that before? No. Did you also see information that said he was a Rolling 60s gang member? Yes. Did you know that before? No. Excuse me, if you didn't know that he was shitty, why would you think if they were referring to someone as shitty that it's him? It had his name, Eric Holder. It had on the post, and it had like AKA shitty cuz. Okay. Okay, did you also see photographs of him on social media that day? Yes, I did. Okay, so there's no doubt in your mind at that point that there are some people out there who believe that he shot Nipsey Hussle, correct? Correct. Now, you got that information. What, if anything, did you do? I was just like, when I get off from work, I'm going to go talk to him and show him these posts and stuff like that, because it's like, I wasn't sure. But then it was just like, I see these posts like now in my mind, like I didn't want to be around him no more. Why didn't you want to be around him at that point? Because people was posting that saying, that he did it. And not just that, but you were actually there when he had guns. He was there. You heard gunshots, correct? Correct. That combined with the posts had to make you very suspicious, true or not? True. All right, so you got off of work. What did you do? When I got off of work, I did my transportation, and then I went to go see him around 4 something. Where was he when you went to see him? He was at Motel 6. And tell us about that conversation. Well, I'm sorry. Why did you go see him if you thought he was the shooter? At the time I had to make my money. I had to go to work and stuff. No, no, no. Oh, you went to work. Yes, I went to work. You did your 2 jobs that day. Yes. Why did you go see him afterwards? I did after I did the transportation. Why? Why did you go see him? Oh, because I wanted to show, like, I was asking him the questions when he got in the car at the time, like what was going on and everything like that. I wanted to show him some proof, like people are saying that you shot Nipsey Hussle. Did you think he had shot him at that time? At the time I was showing him? No, no. When you saw his name in his photo, did it occur to you and he had the guns and he went back, did it occur to you that he was the one who shot him? I was suspicious. And you weren't afraid to go talk to him? No, because I wanted to go show him, like, no. You weren't afraid to go talk to him? No. Okay. All right, so you wanted to confront him with what you saw on social media, correct? Correct. You testified that you went to the Motel 6 to confront him to see what his response would be, correct? Correct. And tell us about that conversation. So I'm showing him, I'm saying people is accusing him of shooting Nipsey Hussle and showing him the stuff from on my phone and everything. And he didn't say nothing, but just wanted me to just go take him somewhere, take him to go get like something to eat, cigarettes, stuff like that. Did he at least look at what you were showing him? Yes, I even pointed to who showed it, who was saying it, and I told him who was saying it. What was his response? It was just like quiet, like breathing a little hard. I'm sorry, what? Quiet and breathing hard, like, okay. What did he say to you when you were showing him this stuff? He didn't say nothing. Did you ask him, did you do it? Did you shoot him? Did you ask those questions? No, I didn't ask him. Well, you told us that's why you went back there, to ask him those questions. Yes, I did. Like, I'm showing him, you know what I'm saying. Did he do this? I'm asking him as I'm showing him. He's not saying anything. Okay, so you did ask him, did you do it? Yes. And it is your testimony he didn't respond to the questions? Correct. And what did you think now where you were showing him this evidence that he shot Nipsey Hussle and he's not responding? What did you think? I was just like, I'm not going to talk to him no more. I'm not going to say anything else to him. Were you convinced that he did it? By looking at the posts, yeah. Okay, so at that point you're with him. He has no response to the accusations being made on social media that he killed Nipsey Hussle. And based on that and everything else you knew at that point, you believed he did it. Is that your testimony? Yes. So what happened after that? You said he asked you to take him someplace? Yeah, he asked me to take him to go get a charger for his phone, to get some cigarettes, and to Jack in the Box. Did you take him to those places? Yes. Why? I just took him, you know, kind of like trying to like get away from him, you know, just let him like, that was like my last time even like wanting to talk to him. I just went ahead and just did that, took him to those places. Okay, how long did that take to accomplish? It didn't take that long. Everything was in the area. And after you took him to those places, where did the two of you go? I took him back to the room and then I left after that. Okay, when you took him back to the room, was it your understanding that he had that room for the night, meaning he rented that room on Monday morning and he was going to be there until Tuesday? Correct. Did he ask you, after you confronted him with the Facebook or social media information, did he ask you if he could stay at your place, notwithstanding the fact he had a room? Yes, he did ask me, can he stay with me? And what did you say? I said, no, you're not going to stay with me until I find out what's going on. You need to take care of this, what's going on that's on social media. Okay, and after you took him to those places, where did you go? I went back home. Okay, and did you stay home then? That's Monday night. Did you stay at home the rest of the night? Yes, I was at my mom's house that night. Monday night, after you got home, did you see any news reports about the shooting of Nipsey Hussle? Yes, I did. Tell us about that. That's when they was like, oh, we captured the driver and the license plates, and then they had my car, and then they had him on the side of it. Okay, so now this isn't just social media. This is on a major television news network reporting that your car and Eric Holder were wanted in connection with the killing of Nipsey Hussle, correct? Correct. What were you thinking when you saw that? I ran and told my mom. I was like, oh my God, Mom. I'm like, my car is on here and everything, and I didn't do anything. I didn't know this boy was going to do this. And then she was like, okay, we got to call the police. We got to call detectives and everything so we can go down there and you can tell them. Did you call the police that night, Monday night, after seeing on the news that your car and he were wanted? My mom did. Were you there with her when she picked up the phone and called the police? Yes. And you did, and that was done Monday night, correct? Correct. And after that phone call was completed, what, if anything, did you tell your mother that you needed to do? She told me I needed to tell detectives and the police the truth. Okay, did you go into the police station that night? No, I went early that morning. Why did you go the next morning? Because they said detectives won't be in until 6 o'clock. In the morning? In the morning. Okay, so you went to sleep at your mom's house, correct? Correct. Did you have any other conversations with Eric Holder after seeing those reports on the news? No. And by conversations, I don't just mean talking on the phone. I mean text messages, direct messages, any kind of conversation. Yes, I did. I called him and I asked him, I said, is you good? Like, what I mean, like, is you good? Like, did you, like, trying to ask him, like, did he really do this? What's going on? He just said, yeah, like that. Yeah, what? I'm good? Or yeah, I did this? I guess, like, yeah, I'm good, because he didn't, that's what I asked him, but he didn't specify. Okay, usually when people use the expression, are you good? It usually means, are you okay, right? Right. So when somebody says, hey man, are you good? At least the most common interpretation that I know of is they're asking, are you okay? Is that your understanding? Yes, that's my understanding. So why would you call him and ask him, is he okay? Because I'm trying to get an answer from him, like seeing he would tell me, like, did he do it? Is he going to try to, like, kind of talk to me, like consoling me, like at least let me know, like, did he really do it? Okay, well, why didn't you just ask that question? Did you do this? I just saw the news and your face is on the news. The police said they want you. This was before I watched the news. It was like the middle of the night. Like, I didn't see the news until about 11 o'clock when it came on. So it was like the middle of the night. Like around 7, maybe 8, I called him and asked him that. Okay, well, that's an important fact, that this conversation where you had asked him if he's good or asking him if he was okay was before you saw the news report. Is that correct? Correct. The question was, did you have any conversation with him after you saw the news report? No. Why not? I didn't want to talk to him no more. I was just like, you know, I gotta, like, tell the truth, tell what I know. Like, my car is up there. Like, it was like, forget him. Like, I didn't want to talk to him no more. Okay, the next morning, Tuesday morning, did you go to the police station? Yes, I did. Which station did you go to? The 76th station? 77th? Oh, 77, yes. Okay, why did you go to that station? They had the information on the news when they was talking about my car. They had, like, where to report it, you know, if you see it. So did you go there alone or with someone? My mom took me. Okay, did she take you in your car? No. In her car? Yes. What happened when the two of you got to the station? When we got to the station, the police officer in the little circle thing where you go in at, like, the reception part, I was explaining to them that my car was on the news and it's been involved in a murder and everything, and I was trying to, you know, talk to someone about it, and I seen it. And then one of the police officers is like, well, don't worry about it, you know, don't listen to the news, you know. And then my mom said, well, she needs to talk to somebody. But he said, don't worry about it. So we just left. And when I went to work, my mom, she took me to work. And no, I went back to work. She didn't take me to work. She took me back to my car. I drove my car. And my mom, she called me at work. She was like, they still got your car on the news. She was like, you need to talk with somebody. So then she called again, and a lady named Miss Muhammad, she had talked to my mom and told her I need to come down there. Okay, so you and your mom went to the station that morning, talked to a desk sergeant, explained why you were there, correct? Correct. And he told you, don't worry about it? Yes. And told you basically you could leave, correct? Correct. So you got out of the car and you went into the station? Yes. And then later your mom followed up, was still concerned that you were actually, your car at least was still wanted, and told you, you know, whatever that guy said, you need to go back and talk to somebody? Yes, because it was at work, my car. Did you go back to the police station? Yes. Yes, I called them while I was at work. Okay, you called. That's Tuesday morning still, correct? Correct. When you called, what did they tell you to do? They told me to come down there now just because my car is out there. They didn't want the police to stop me. Okay, did you go back to the station? Yes. When you got to the station, were you interviewed by some detectives? Yes. Were you interviewed for about 5 hours? Yes. During the interview, were you given your rights? Were you told that you have the right to remain silent? Anything you say will be used against you. You had the right to an attorney. If you couldn't afford one, one would be provided for you. Were those rights explained to you? Yes. Did you agree to waive those rights and talk to the detectives? What do you mean? Did you say, I understand those rights, I can talk to you without an attorney? Yes. And did you proceed to have a 5-hour-long interview? Yes. During that interview, did you tell them that you took a selfie with Nipsey Hussle? Yes. Did you have that picture on your phone? Yes. Did you show the detectives the picture? Yes. And did you send that picture from your phone to the detectives? Yes. Did you also consent to a search of your cell phone? Yes. Did you also consent to a search of your car? Yes. During that interview, did you agree to call Eric Holder on your phone while the detectives were in the interview room with you? Yes. And did you end up getting Eric Holder on the phone while you were in the interview room with the detectives? Yes. Subsequent to that interview, did you consent to a search of your apartment? Yes. Did you consent to a search of your mother's apartment? Yes. Did you explain to the detectives where you dropped Eric Holder off after the shooting? Yes. Explain to them where Harold lived? Correct. Were you trying to be as cooperative as you could be in providing information about what happened? Yes. After the interview, did the officers take you into custody or did they allow you to leave? They just hold my car for me. They hold it, but they let me leave. They let you leave, but they held on to your car for a while, correct? For a day, yes. At some point they returned it? Yes. And some weeks after that, you came to the district attorney's office and met with me, and I interviewed you probably for what, over an hour, close to 2 hours? Yes. Have you heard from Mr. Holder since that last time you talked to him on Monday night? No. Has he tried to reach out to you directly or indirectly in any way, meaning through friends, through messages, through mail, anything? No. Have you tried to communicate with him in any way? Have you done anything to try to talk to him? No. Have you tried to talk with anyone who is associated with him? No. Do you know what happened to the 2 guns that you saw him get into the car with after the shooting? No. Madam Foreperson, we're going to break right now. If you would please remind the witness of her admonition. Yes. We're going to take another break, okay? Okay. Hold on one second. We're almost finished. All right. You will recall that you have previously been admonished regarding the secrecy of these proceedings and must heed that admonishment, except that you can speak with your lawyer. Yes. And you know that, right? Right. Okay, thank you. We're going to take a 15-minute break, so we'll come back at 10:40, okay? Okay. Now, the question I have for you is, why didn't you mention that? Whether you were asked a specific question or not, why didn't that come out? I don't really know why. I was just kind of like, they were just asking me the questions and stuff. I didn't know why that didn't come out first. When you talked to the detectives and after you started to tell them that part of the story, did you tell them that you believed Eric wanted to do a drive-by? I told them that I didn't want him doing no drive-by in my car. I didn't say he said it, that he wanted to do a drive-by. Okay, so your testimony is you never told the detectives that Eric Holder said to you the words, "I want to do a drive-by." Yes. And that's your testimony here, correct? Correct. Did you and the detectives have a conversation about Eric Holder doing the drive-by? Did you have that conversation with them? Did that subject come up? Yes. Tell us what you told the detectives about that issue, that subject. I just told him that I seen him like messing with the gun, playing with the gun, and I just told him that he's not going to do no drive-by in my car. Didn't you also say yesterday he was loading the gun? Yes. So your testimony right now is Eric never said he was going to do a drive-by, go around here because I need to do a drive-by? Correct. Okay, and if your recorded statement to the police, you say in that statement that he said that he wanted to do a drive-by, how can you explain the discrepancy? I wasn't trying to say he said it like I said it, though, that he's not going to do a... I know, but here's my question. Your prior recorded statement states that you said to the detectives that he said he wanted to do a drive-by. Hold on just a second. All right, I'm going to go to a transcript of your statement, okay? All right. And then I'll read it, and then I'll ask you some questions about it. All right. So you testified you had this long conversation with them. You were telling them what happened. The detective basically told you that he didn't believe that you and Eric never had a conversation after the shooting about what happened. He didn't believe that. He was leaning on you to tell him whether a conversation took place, correct? Correct. And he was also impressing upon you that this was very, very serious and that you needed to tell everything that you knew, correct? Correct. Now, up to that point, you told the detectives that after you drove out of the plaza, you drove through the Shell station and stopped behind the Fat Burger, correct? Correct. Up to that point, you didn't tell them that when you left the plaza the first time, Eric had you go around the block. Up to that point, you didn't mention going around the block and then coming back to the Fat Burger, correct? Correct. Okay, after he impressed upon you the importance of telling the truth, did you say, quote, "Are you going to protect me?" Yes. And then you had a conversation with them in which you told them, quote, "I need to be protected?" Yes. Okay. Why did you mention your concerns for your safety at that point before answering additional questions? What made you say that to the detectives? Just because I was just afraid for my life. I didn't want to like nothing to get hurt or killed, to anything about the situation. That's why. Did you feel that if you talked about driving around the car, if you talked about seeing Eric manipulating the gun or loading the gun, that somehow was going to jeopardize your safety, that you would be a snitch and that would somehow jeopardize your safety? No. Okay, because you had already told them a lot of incriminating or bad information about Eric, right? Right. So why did you feel the need at that point in the interview to ask for protection? Just because they was talking to me about like, oh, how serious it is. And that's when like I start kind of remembering like what happened. Like I knew what was happened, but a lot of stuff was still a little blurry to me or whatever. So by them talking to me, it helped me get out what I needed to explain and talk about the situation. Okay, I want to read from this transcript, and this is, just for the record, at page 98. The witness: I need to be protected. Detective: so tell us the truth. Witness: all right, he did have me go around after we got the food. He did have me go around the little plaza thing. He did pull out the gun. He wanted to do a drive-by. That's when I pulled in the alley and sat there. And then he got out the car and walked up there. Detective: so when you say he wanted to do a drive-by, explain to me what that means to you, or what he meant by that. What did he give me I need the raw words that he said. So if it's cuss words, if whatever, I don't care how he said it. Say exactly, repeat exactly what you remember him saying. Witness: he said, drive around here. He started pulling out the gun, doing all that and stuff, and I was like, no, you is not fitting up to be doing no drive-by in my car. He said, pull around back. Then, okay, do you remember those questions and giving those answers? Yes. Now, in that exchange, if this is accurate, you're the first person to say to the detective, you said he wanted to do a drive-by. You said that he wanted to do a drive-by. Why did you tell the detective that he wanted to do a drive-by? Like, I'm from the South. I wasn't trying to, maybe I said the wrong word, like he, because I was using he. Like, he told me to drive around. He told me, that. I wasn't trying to say, he told me to do a drive-by. I just probably said the wrong word, like he. I said he's not going to do a drive-by in my car. I wasn't trying to say he said it. Okay, so if I understand correctly, your testimony today is you told the detective he wanted to do a drive-by, but that's not something he said to you? Right. He didn't say, witness 1, drive around the corner, I'm going to do a drive-by, correct? Correct. Nevertheless, you must have seen something to think that he wanted to do a drive-by, whether he said it or not, correct? Correct. So what did you see or hear that made you tell the detectives that you thought he wanted to do a drive-by? When he was loading the gun up in the 9mm, he was loading it in the magazine. So let me ask you some questions. Did he roll down the window and the passenger window and put the gun up to the window? Did he do that? No, the window was already kind of halfway down, but as he was putting it in, the gun kind of was moving a little bit. So it was kind of pointing to the window, but not actually on. It was kind of what I mean, he was playing. The gun was moving as he was putting the bullets in there. Did he at any time look, as you were driving by that opening, look towards where Nipsey had been or was standing with the gun pointed? No. Okay, go ahead. Okay. So is it your testimony that when you told the officer that he wanted to do a drive-by, the officer, through his subsequent questions, assumed in his questioning that Eric told you he wanted to do a drive-by? Is that what you're explaining? Yes. At page 104, after that exchange that I just read, there was this exchange. The detective says, so at what point when he got in the car with that food, he told you he wanted to do a drive-by? Your answer: when he told me to go around, and I was like, you're not fitting to do a drive-by in my car. And then that's when he told me to pull around back. Do you recall those questions? Yes. And those answers? Yes. So clearly, the detective in his question says, at what point when he got in the car did he tell you he wanted to do a drive-by? You had an opportunity there to tell the detective, well, he never actually said he wanted to do a drive-by. That was just something that I said because of how he was behaving. You had a chance to point that out there, did you not? Yeah, I did. But how the transcript is, you're reading it to me, it wasn't like that. Seemed like in the interview that they was giving me, because I'm not saying he did it. Okay. But you never told the detectives that he didn't say it, correct? Correct. I want to read another passage to you on page 105. Again, this is the detective asking you a question. Did he say who he was going to do a drive-by on? Answer: no. Detective: no. Answer: he just said, "Oh, I'm sorry." Detective: he just said, "Let's do a drive-by." Detective: did he say where? Answer: right there, right where we was at driving. Question: is he like pointing or is he saying? Answer: he didn't point, he had the gun down. And then because I was talking to him, I was like, "You're not fitting to do something right here." I was talking to him and stuff. So he had it low. Do you recall that exchange talking to the detectives again about when or who he said he was going to do a drive-by on? No. It appears, you correct me if I'm wrong, that from the questions that were asked to you here, the detective is assuming, based on what you told him, that Eric told you he wanted to do a drive-by. And in these questions, you aren't correcting him by saying, "No, he never actually said he wanted to do it. I said, you're not gonna do it because of the conduct, what I saw in the car." Correct. Later on page 106, the detective asks, and he's talking to you here about hearing the gunshots and you moving your car from the alley onto the street after hearing the gunshots. He's asking you about that. All right. Question: but you knew he was about to go shoot somebody? Answer: I didn't know who he was going to go shoot. Detective: question: but you knew he was going to go shoot somebody? Answer: yes, because I seen the gun. Were those questions asked and were those answers given? Yes. So were you telling the detective here that when you saw the gun and saw Eric leave your car, that you knew he was going to go shoot somebody? At the time, that's when he was kind of asking me, do I think, he would have did something like that? And that's when I was saying, like, yeah, he might. I wasn't sure. That's when when I answered that question. So what is your testimony about that? When you saw him with the gun, you saw him get out of the car, say, "Wait right here, I'll be back," and he walked off back toward the plaza. Did you believe he was going back there to shoot somebody? No, I didn't believe he was. Okay, in the questions and answers that I just read, it appears that you said, "I didn't know who he was going to go shoot, but I knew he was going to go shoot somebody because I saw the gun." I don't recall that. Okay, are you saying that you did not believe he was going to go shoot somebody? Is that your testimony here? Yes. I want to show you just a few more things before the lunch break and hopefully be done. I want to show you a video that we saw earlier. This will be Grand Jury Exhibit number 12 that I believe. Let me just verify. Yes, I'm going to show you Grand Jury Exhibit number 12. This will be channel 4 of the 58th place video. And I'll fast forward it to about 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the clip and ask you to look at the very top of the screen. Do you recognize the area that's shown there at the top of the screen? Yes, the alleyway of the plaza. Do you see that car sitting there in the alley facing 58th place? Yes. Is that your vehicle? Yes. Is that where you initially came to stop and where Eric Holder got out of your car? Yes. Now, as we watched this video earlier, it appeared that your passenger door opened and closed twice. Did he get out of the passenger side of your car? There we see an opening and closing for the first time. Yes, I see that. Okay, continue to look at the video for a few moments. Right about 8:23, it looks like you move the car forward and then someone runs down the alley past your car. Do you see yourself move the car up forward onto 58th place right there? Yes. And then you stop, right? Right. Why did you move the car? When I seen the man running, I heard gunshots. My instinct was just I need to get up out of here. Okay, why did you think you need to get out of there? Because I heard gunshots. Were you afraid when you heard the gunshots? Yes. Did you believe at that point Eric was shooting? No. Why didn't you just leave? because, you know, he told me to wait. I didn't know like if he had been hurt or what was going on, so I just waited on him because I didn't like, you know, if he was hurt or anything. At the time this happened, you testified that you had a new apartment, right? Right. You were living by yourself? Yes. Did he live very close to where you live? Yes. So obviously, if you had left him there, he would know how to get to you if he got out of there, correct? Correct. Were you at all concerned about that? The fact that he knew where you lived, knew where your mother lived? Did that play any part in your decision making that day? No, because I didn't know that he did it. It was more so I didn't know if he got hurt or whatever, what was going on that day when I heard the gunshots. Okay, so you didn't stay there because of fear of him. You stayed there because your testimony is you didn't believe that he had done anything wrong? Right. And in your mind, he could have just as well been being shot at as opposed to shooting somebody. Is that your testimony? Yes. Has everything you testified before the grand jury true? Yes. You know you're testifying under an immunity agreement, which means nothing you say here can be used against you on any future prosecution, correct? Correct. And I did explain that agreement to you as well as your lawyer. Yes. When I explained that agreement to you, did I tell you that one of the reasons you were being given use immunity is so you would be free to tell the whole truth even if it didn't reflect well upon you? Did I tell you that? Yes. You're free to tell the whole truth because you don't have to be concerned that anything that you say here will be used against you in a future prosecution, correct? Correct. And you understood that, correct? Understood it. When you answered questions here, did you answer the questions as truthfully as you possibly could? Yes. Did I explain to you that any statements you made, and you made statements to the police after being advised of your rights, you made a statement to me again after being advised of your rights, where you talked about what happened, correct? Correct. And you understand that those statements could be used against you in a prosecution if the district attorney's office decided to prosecute you for something related to this case. Do you understand that? I understand. All right. Well, thank you. No further questions. And one thing additional, that if you're required to tell the truth, and if you don't tell the truth, then you can be prosecuted using the statements here before the grand jury. You understand that as well, correct? Correct. Your lawyer told you that? Yes. Okay, I don't know if Mr. McKinney said that as well, but you do understand that? Yes. Because your lawyer told you that? Yes. And I told you that before we started, correct? Correct. Okay, are there any jurors with any questions for this witness? Raise your hands, please. And you understood me when I told you that, correct? Correct. This is a question from the grand jury. What was your state of mind when you were speaking to the detectives in that first interview? Like scared, like trying to explain myself to him about what was going on. Like I seen my car, so I wanted to tell the truth what was going on. Did you feel any undue pressure to tell the story in any particular way other than the truth? DA, follow up. DA, follow up. Did you feel any pressure during that interview? Yeah, I felt a little pressure, but not I felt pressure, but I was more so scared too. Scared of what? DA, follow up? Just scared, just talking about it because I was already shook up about the situation. Question from the grand jury. How much sleep did you have between Monday night and Tuesday morning when you met with the detectives? So after learning what you learned Monday night, how much sleep did you get that night before going to the station to talk to the detectives? I really didn't sleep. Did not sleeping affect your ability to understand or answer questions on that Tuesday morning? DA, follow up? DA, follow up? Yes. In what way? Like in a way, like my body was just tired, like to be able to like answer questions and stuff. My body, it wasn't itself. Was the interview conducted in an interview room at the police station? Yes. How many detectives were in the room with you? 2. Was it a small room? Yes. Did you take any breaks during that 5-hour interview? Meaning, did you get up and leave the room, stretch, talk to your mom, get something to eat, anything like that? No, just use the restroom. Do you believe that they were focused on what the questions were, or did you feel rushed in any? That's a compound question. Were you focused on the questions that were being asked? Yes, I was focused trying to give my statement, as best as I remember everything. Did the detectives make you feel rushed at all in the way that they asked the questions? Not so rushed, just kind of like the way they was asking me, like trying to like make me feel like I did it, that type of questioning. Okay, well, is it true that basically there were 2 officers there, but one asked 95% of the questions, correct? Correct. And is it true that they were very polite and cordial to you and respectful to you during the interview? Yes. You have no complaints about the way you were treated, correct? No, just the way the questions was answered. Okay, so at some point, the detective who was asking most of the questions became more accusatory in his questioning and doubtful of some of your answers, correct? Correct. Is that what you mean? Right. When you say that? Yes. All right. Question from the grand jury. Who paid for the motel? He did. Did he, DA, follow up? Did he ask you to pay for the motel? No. Did you offer to pay for the motel? No. Those are DA follow-up questions. DA follow-up question. When you talked to the detectives, did you tell them about the motel? Yes. Did you tell them where the motel was located? I gave them the card. The card from the motel? Yes. Question from the grand jury. Prior to the shooting, were you in love with Eric Holder? No. Did you, DA follow-up, did you have a strong emotional attachment to him? No. When you were answering those questions to the detectives and to myself, did you feel a desire to try to protect him? No.